Hey writer, happy first day of Camp NaNoWriMo. I wanted to talk to you today about Camp NaNoWriMo July 2020, what I'm writing, and how I plan on accomplishing that goal. If you don't know what Camp NaNoWriMo is or what NaNoWriMo is, I'll give you a quick rundown. So NaNoWriMo is National Novel Writing Month, which takes place every November, and it's when writers all around the world get together and try to write at least 50,000 words for whatever project they're working on at the time. Camp NaNoWriMo takes place twice a year, once in April and July, and it's a little bit of a looser outline when it comes to your project. So a lot of people may edit during that time or have a lower or higher word count. It's a little less rigid than the 50,000 words minimum in November. NaNoWriMo is very special to me because before I was a published author, I took part in NaNoWriMo for several years, and throughout those years I only wrote during November with the same novel, and that was my debut book. So I love NaNoWriMo. It's really put me on a trajectory to where I want to be with my author career, and I try to take part when I can. Over the last few years I have not been able to take part because due to deadlines I was never really in that having to write 50,000 words in November. Usually I was in the middle of a project or ending a project, so I'm really excited to take part again this year. Also, this is the first episode of a series that I'm doing called Premise to Publication, where I show you my process from start to finish in writing a book that I would like to get traditionally published. So this first topic is how to pick the perfect book idea. And also stay tuned for some advice closer to the end of this video on how you can do the same. Backstory on this series: for a few months now, this series has been in the back of my mind, and I wanted to do it to sort of show my behind the scenes of how I write a book, and then bringing it into the query trenches, which I have not done in over 8 years for a novel, with the hope of finding an agent and getting this book traditionally published. Now, I'm really not much of a risk taker, which is why this has taken me so long to do, because I had all these thoughts. What if I don't get an agent? What if I fail publicly? So I'm taking a bit of a leap here in the fact that this book might not get published in the way that I want, but that is also not the only path that is available for this book. So really, I just wanted to open up my process. I have published 13 novels with a Big 5 publisher, and I have ghostwritten over 40 plus novels, and I am not bragging here. I am just stating my credentials in that I tend to love watching authors' processes, especially those who I look up to and are sort of in a place that I would like to be. So I wanted to share my process with you in the hopes of you maybe finding little tidbits of information so that you can fulfill your writing dream as well. And also, I wanted to state that contracts are never guaranteed, no matter how many books you've written. For me, every single end of a contract gets a little scary in that I may not have the next story that my editor or my publisher wants. So this is me sort of going out on a limb because I am writing this book without a specific contract in mind, which I really haven't done for a couple of years, but I think it's an exciting process, and I wanted to sort of peel open the process and discuss it and possibly make changes along the way. So I think this is just a fun way of me cataloging the process along with sharing it. So let's start with the topic of this video, the idea. So this book that I am hoping to get published is a thriller novel, and it started off as a young adult thriller. Now, most of my books tend to lean toward the darker side of humanity, and in the case of my paranormal books, non-humanity. Now, I love diving into the darker corners of a character and how they react with the world. And when this idea came to me, I had already published 2 thrillers. One of them is a full-length novel, As You Lay Sleeping, and the other is a novella, 6 Little Secrets. And Six Little Secrets was the end of my contract from 2017. And at that point, this book really just sprung itself on me. It came to me as a very short scene playing out as a movie in my mind. And I know a lot of authors do have this process that comes to them, and I have to say that only a few of my books have really stuck out to me in this way, most notably my first book and this one. So really, it's just 2 out of the 13 so far. As I said, I was at the end of my contract, so I did pitch this novel to my editor at the time, but unfortunately, my publisher was no longer publishing young adult books. So this book literally would not get out of my mind. It clawed at me day and night, so much so that I used the synopsis and the 3 chapters that I had submitted to my editor, and I wrote the book in 3 weeks. Now, I've never done that before, written a full book in 3 weeks, but this one poured out of me, and I'm pretty sure I'll never have that experience again. So that was the end of 2017. I spent the whole of 2018 workshopping this book with other writers, putting it through critique partners, and having critique partners take a look at it, but through all of this, the story just still never felt right no matter how I changed it. So in 2019, I decided to drawer the book entirely, which really hurt. Taking that much time, about over a year with this book, it was hard to do it, but it just felt right at the time. In my Choosing Your Next Story video, which I will link in the cards above and also the description box below for you to check out after this video, I talk about letting a story idea marinate, and usually that's at the story idea stage, not a full book, but this one definitely marinated and it turned into something entirely different. Now, while I worked on my ghostwriting, which paid the bills, and another series for my publisher, this story banged on that metaphorical drawer, begging me to take it out. Now, since I was so busy, I tried to ignore it for some time before I got another one of those flashes of inspiration as I had when I first started this book, which definitely proved that marinating process does work. Now, in that time that I sort of let the book sit in the drawer and in the back of my mind, I found that story within a totally different story that I really wanted to write, and one that I was willing to put the time and effort into. To me, that's one of the more important things when choosing a next project to write, especially one that doesn't have a publication date or contract. You have to be willing to spend the time and effort, months, maybe years with this book that it may end up in your drawer, but if you really love it, putting that time and effort into it usually pays off. If you can see that story through in your mind and are excited about it at the same time, then I would say that is a project to move forward with. And more importantly, at least to me, I don't have the time to work on different projects at once and not spend the time that I need with a story to see it to completion to get it toward my goal of publication. I have a lot of things going in my life, and I'm sure you have a lot of things going on in your life as well. So I don't really have time to waste, and I'm sure you don't have time to waste either if you have a specific goal of seeing your book out there for readers. But that's just my thought on it. Now, I filmed 2 videos, one which I mentioned before, the other is brainstorming book ideas if you don't have any ideas for projects you want to write. Now, they are definitely worth a look after this video, but I did want to give some actionable steps, and they are the questions that I asked myself when it came to writing this project as well. Number 1, can you take the story from start to finish? Is there enough material in your head or in an outline that you'll be able to fulfill a specific word count? Say you are going for traditional publishing, there's usually specific word counts, or if you want to write a novel or novella, you can write within those word counts as well. Just make sure you have enough of an idea to fulfill whatever vision you have for the book. Number 2, are you excited about the project? I think this is super important because you don't want to spend all those months/years with a project you don't absolutely love and will fight for. I fought an entire year for a novel that no longer will exist in the world, so as much as it hurt me to draw it at the time, I really fought for it as much as I could. which I think is important. And it also led me to this idea that I have now. And number 3, will this project bring you closer to your publishing goal, whether that's to be traditionally published, self-published, if you want to submit something to a magazine or an anthology? Does it bring you closer to that goal? Because if you're not getting closer to your dream, then it's just practice, and that's a relevant goal in itself. If you want to be a hobby writer, that's perfectly fine. But if your goal is to share your work with the world, make sure every step that you're taking is bringing you closer to that goal. So these are just questions that I asked myself. Obviously, this is not something you have to do before publishing a book, but it just may help you think of some ideas if you are stuck and want to think about your next project. Now, when it came to my young adult thriller, the scene that came to me so vividly the second time showed me the story as an adult thriller. It took a little bit of a process to get there, but I am so excited about the story now. Currently, I'm sitting at about 40,000 words for that novel. I worked throughout the month of June, sort of getting myself back into the habit of writing after a very scary couple of months where I couldn't write at all because of the things going on in the world. So my goal for Camp NaNoWriMo is more of the traditional sense of the November one, in which I hope to write 50,000 more words at the very least, because I want to hit a goal of around 90,000 for the first draft of this book. And through the month of June, I worked 5 days a week between the hours of 5 and 7 in the morning. I know that's not for everyone, but I have found throughout the years that that's my most creative time. My family is still sleeping. I have very little interruptions. So that is what I'm going to continue for this month. So I'm going to work Monday through Friday from 5 to 7 and leave the weekends for family, and if I have to make up for something during the week where maybe I didn't hit my word count goal, I do have that buffer in between. So I counted up 23 weekdays during the month of July, divided that by 50,000 words, and I got to the word count of 2,173 words a day. It's a goal I need to reach the 50,000 words. Now, I find setting daily word count goals really works for me, and I'm not saying this is the end all be all. If you are just starting off writing, or you just want to take time to try out a new project, you could do time goals, you could work for 20-minute sprints. There's a whole host of different ways that you can do this, but personally I like to use a daily word count so I know when I hit it. If I hit it every day, I will reach my goal. Now, the Camp NaNoWriMo and NaNoWriMo months are very special in that a lot of writers within the community like to do sprinting together. So while I will be writing in the morning every day, I may pop into some sprints and work with other writers. I love the community aspect of any of the camp or just regular NaNoWriMo months where we all come together and cheer each other on. And I'm also doing live sprints with Marisa Mohi, a fellow author tuber, which I will post our schedule down in the description. So I would love to see you in the chat box on either of our channels and to cheer you on as well. So while this video was a little mishmash of the Camp NaNoWriMo project announcement and also my new series, Premise to Publication, I wanted to just say that next time during this series, I'm going to delve in on how I outlined this book during a writer's retreat last year. If you enjoyed this video, do give it a like because it really helps me out. I post new videos on Mondays all about the writing process and all the bookish things, so be sure to hit that subscribe button and the little notification bell next to it so you know the next time I upload, and I'll see you soon.